will endure without you. That's another way of thinking about it too.
Something like
With
that.
or without you.
Oh,
Yeah.
I gotta call back. I have to leave for a minute.
All right, sir. Come back as soon as you can. All right. Let's see about calling the page up here.
Will endure without you. That's another way of thinking about it too.
Endure without you.
Something like
With
that.
or without you.
Oh,
Yeah.
I gotta call back.
Oh, I'm
I have to
Yeah,
leave for a minute.
you're replaying.
all
Put
these responses
us in
back.
posterity mode.
Okay, I have to close off. The YouTube was playing back to us. It was echoing.
Yeah.
All right. And we'll call up the Damodarastika here. Did you want to sing it, Nandapatni? This time? Want me to sing it or you
No,
want to sing
I
it?
can sing it. Yeah.
Okay. Can you play it on the piano while you sing?
I'm just wondering if I've got the connection downstairs. I mean, I
Uh-huh.
can, but
Yeah.
yeah, maybe not.
And sing at the same time? You can do both, really?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You've been practicing.
Well, I played it all last year during the whole month.
Oh,
and
really?
I play it every day. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Even at this current time.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
in D
fine.
minor. It's in D minor, I think.
Well, I do it in A minor. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's see about sharing this page. I'm trying to get the proper page here.
Suda Sindhu.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Good morning.
Ah,
Hare
yay.
Krishna.
All the way from Malaysia, she's
Shuda.
come.
I guess you say Shuda.
Haribol.
Is that right, Prabhu? Like the first S is Shuda, and the second S is soft, Sindhu.
She's asking a question to you, Shuddha Sindhu.
Actually, I'm not sure.
Never mind.
Okay,
I'm not
I
sure
would
either.
say so. Yeah, we say Shuddha Sattva.
Yeah,
So
like
I don't think
Shudanam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. And then can you
All right.
make the lyrics okay? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Namanishvaram Sachidananda Rupam Lasakundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashodabiyalukala Param Dristamatyanta Todruta Gopya Rudam Te Mahunetra Yupam Rijantam Karambo Jayugmena Sakanta Netram Muhu Swashakam Patri Ekankakanta Stita Graivam Damodaram Bhaktibadam Idik Drix Valila Birananda Kunde Swagosham Nimajantam Akyar Payantam Twadiya Shitagnesu Bhakta Jitadvam Puna Prematastam Satam Ritivande Varam Deva Moksham Na Mokshada Bimba Nachanyam Vrineham Vareshadapiya Idam te vapunata gopala balam sada me manasya virashtam kimanya Idam te mukambojam atnyantalila Vritam kuntalashnikta rakshasya gopya Muhus chumbitam bimba rakta darame manasya virashtam alam lakshalavai Namo deva damodarananta vishnu prasida prabodhuka jalabhimanyam Kripa dristi vristyati dinam batanu. Grihane shamam malkyam mejaksi drisya. Kuvarat majobada mutyai vayadvat. Twaya mochito bhakti bhajo krito cha. Tata prema bhaktim swakam me priyacha. Namokshe graho me sti damodara. Namaste studamne spuradipti damne. Twadiyo dayaryata vishvasya damne. Namo radikaya twadiya priyaya. Namo nantalilaya devaya tubhyam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you very much. Bhavatrini, maybe if you can, I know it's difficult for you to get here earlier, but if you ever do, then it'd be nice if you and Nirhari could sing Damodarastaka for us. Is that okay?
That was beautiful, Mandapani. That was so nice. Thank you.
Patni, that was great.
Yes, that was beautiful.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Nandapatni.
I thought, do you play piano?
I
thought you were
do
gonna play
indeed.
piano.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
I thought you were
then-
going
I
to play
thought-
piano.
yeah,
Well, I
maybe
can-
next time piano. Okay.
Or actually, if you read the translation, and then I'll just play a tiny bit of it at the end of the translation, just very
Oh, that would
quickly.
be great too.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. To the Supreme
That's
Lord,
wonderful.
whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss, whose shark-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokul, who, due to the offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning into butter, and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from his swing, is quickly running from the wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda, but who is being caught from behind by her, who ran after him with greater speed. To that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances. So then it'll be Krishna Chandra, and then Shuddha Sindhu, and then Nirhari and Bhavatrini.
Thank you. Seeing the whipping stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, whose belly is bound not with ropes, but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances.
By such childhood pastimes as this, he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy, and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence that he is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my obeisances to Lord Damodara hundreds and hundreds of times.
Bhavatrini and Nirhari? Haribo? Can you unmute, please?
You keep it
Oh,
for us.
sorry. Darn it. Oh, man.
Or Rasangi, if
I
it's too
did.
much problem?
Oh, I got it. I'm sorry. My mic was off and my thing went into a weird mode. Okay. 3. I set, is it by that?
Number 4.
3?
4.
Number 4. Oh, 4. Okay. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the 9 processes of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours is Bala Gopal in Vrindavan may ever be manifest in my heart. For what is the use to me of any other boon besides this? Do I read 2 or
Oh
1?
Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like the bimba fruit. May this beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are no use to me.
Is Nirhari available to read the next one?
Sorry.
Sorry.
No, he's driving.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Rasangi?
I think she's walking.
O Supreme Godhead, I offer my obeisances unto you. O Damodar, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O my Lord, be pleased upon me by showering your glance of mercy upon me. Deliver this poor ignorant fool who is immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes. Krishna Chandra.
O Lord Damodar, just as the 2 sons of Kuvara, Manigriva and Nalakuvara, were delivered from the curse of Narada and made into great devotees by you in your form as a baby tied with rope to a wooden grinding mortar. In the same way, please give to me your own prema bhakti. I only long for this and have no desire for any kind of liberation.
Shraddha Sindhu.
O Lord Damodara, I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent robe which binds your belly. I then offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, and I offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord, who displays unlimited pastime.
Thank you. Now for a little mini concert from Nanda.
Okay, I don't know what the reception will be like with my computer sitting on top, but anyway.
Okay.
There you are.
That was a cadence at the end, wasn't it?
I don't
Yeah, the
know.
volume on.
That was beautiful. Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, that's called a
Love
cadence.
the changes.
What chord did you end on? Do you know?
Well, I'm in A minor. I play practically everything in A minor like
Right.
this.
Yeah.
But you ended on A major, didn't you?
Yeah.
etc., etc.
That was Guru Puja,
Yes.
the Guru Vandana. So next time, please have the camera on the keyboard so I can see what you're doing, okay?
How's she going to put her
No.
computer with the camera on the keyboard?
I don't know. I guess you flip the screen, don't you, Gora?
Yes, I like your glasses, Bavatrina. You look very groovy today. You're
Henry
really
says they look like
No.
an old lady from the 50s with a pink Cadillac.
Coco Chanel.
well. You used to have a pink Cadillac, didn't you?
Early
Oh, my
60s.
mother did.
Oh, yeah. No, I was thinking those are your Damodara glasses because they're bluish.
Oh yeah.
I thought you were just getting more into the Damodara LIla mood. That's why you were wearing them.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I thought so.
Yeah.
All
They're
right.
fogging up.
Too much ecstasy in your car.
Right.
Hearing Nanda Patni's ecstatic piano playing is
Make
just
her
too
cry
much.
all the time.
It was amazing. She's so
Yeah.
good.
Okay, so we were reading the Brahma Vimohana LIla last time, and we have 11 paragraphs to finish from that chapter and 2.5 chapters to finish tonight in order to keep up with our Govardhan Hill schedule. So
Yeah,
Let's do it.
a little what do you call those info on the site about Madhvacharya. He omitted this chapter of Brahma Vimohan in his commentary of Srimad Bhagavatam.
that's bizarre.
Because he didn't want to criticize our guru,
Or
you know.
not him, but you know,
He didn't want the Lord Brahma, the head of our sampradaya, to look.
Oh,
at
really?
us.
Okay, that's interesting.
Okay.
That's really interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right, let's continue.
Vimohana.
Otherwise, we won't get done.
Yes,
Balaram-
I know.
illusion and confusion.
Balaram inquired from Krishna about the actual situation. He said, "My dear Krishna, in the beginning, I thought that all these cows, calves, and coward boys were either great sages and saintly persons or demigods. But at the present, it appears that they are actually your expansions. They are all you. You yourself are playing as the calves and cows and boys. What is the mystery of this situation? Where have those other calves and cows and boys gone? And why are you expanding yourself as the cows, calves, and boys? Will you kindly tell me what is the cause?" At the request of Balaram, Krishna briefly explained the whole situation, how the calves and boys were stolen by Brahma, and how he was concealing the incident by expanding himself, so people would not know that the original cows, calves, and boys were missing. While Krishna and Balaram were talking, Brahma returned after a moment's interval, according to the duration of his life. We have information of Lord Brahma's duration of life from the Bhagavad Gita. 1,000 times the duration of the 4 sages, or 4,300,000 times 1,000 comprise Brahma's 12 hours. Similarly, 1 moment of Brahma is equal to 1 year of our solar calculation. After 1 moment of Brahma's calculation, Brahma came back to see the fun caused by his stealing the boys and calves. But he was also afraid that he was playing with fire. Krishna was his master, and he had played mischief for fun by taking away his calves and boys. He was really anxious, so he did not stay away very long. He came back after a moment of his calculation. He saw that all the boys, calves, and cows were playing with Krishna in the same way as when he had come upon them, although he was confident that he had taken them and made them lie down asleep under the spell of his mystic power. Brahma began to think, all the boys, calves, and cows were taken away by me, and I know they are still sleeping. How is it that a similar batch of cows, boys, and calves are playing with Krishna? Is it that they are not influenced by my mystic power? Have they been playing continually for 1 year with Krishna? Brahma tried to understand who they were and how they were uninfluenced by his mystic power, but he could not ascertain it. In other words, he himself came under the spell of his own mystic power. The influence of his mystic power appeared like snow in darkness, or the glowworm in daytime. During the night's darkness, the glowworm can show some glittering power, And the snow piled up on the top of a hill or on the ground can shine during the daytime, but at night, the snow has no silver glitter, nor does the glowworm have any illuminating power during the daytime. Similarly, when the small mystic power exhibited by Brahma was before the mystic power of Krishna, it was just like snow or the glowworm. When a man of small mystic power wants to show potency in the presence of greater mystic power, he diminishes his own influence. He does not increase it. Even a great personality like Brahma, when he wanted to show his mystic power before Krishna, became ludicrous. Brahma was thus confused about his own mystic power. Krishna Chandra Prabhu.
Jai, thank you. In order to convince Brahma that all those cows, calves, and boys were not the original ones, the cows, calves, and boys who were playing with Krishna transformed into Vishnu forms. Actually, the original ones were sleeping under the spell of Brahma's mystic power, but the present ones, seen by Brahma, were all immediate expansions of Krishna or Vishnu. Vishnu is the expansion of Krishna, so the Vishnu forms appeared before Brahma. All the Vishnu forms were of bluish color and dressed in yellow garments. All of them had 4 hands decorated with club, disc, lotus flower, and conch shell. On their heads were glittering golden jeweled helmets. They were bedecked with pearls and earrings and garlanded with beautiful flowers. On their chests was the mark of Srivatsa. Their arms were decorated with armlets and other jewelry. Their necks were smooth, just like the conch shell. Their legs were decorated with bells. Their waists decorated with golden bells. And their fingers decorated with jeweled rings. Brahma also saw that upon the whole body of Lord Vishnu, fresh tulasi beads were thrown, beginning from his lotus feet up to the top of the head. Another significant feature of the Vishnu forms was that all of them were looking transcendently beautiful. Their smiling resembled the moonshine, and their glancing resembled the early rising of the sun. Just by their glancing, they appeared as the creators and maintainers of the modes of ignorance and passion. Vishnu represents the mode of goodness, Brahma represents the mode of passion, and Lord Shiva represents the mode of ignorance. Therefore, as maintainer of everything in the cosmic manifestation, Vishnu is also creator and maintainer of Brahma and Lord Shiva. After this manifestation of Lord Vishnu, Brahma saw that many other Brahmas and Shivas and demigods and even insignificant living entities down to the ants and very small straws, movable and immovable living entities, were dancing, surrounding Lord Vishnu. Their dancing was accompanied by various kinds of music, and all of them were worshiping Lord Vishnu. Brahma realized that all those Vishnu forms were complete, beginning from the anima perfection of becoming small like an atom, up to becoming infinite like the cosmic manifestation. All the mystic powers of Brahma, Shiva, all the demigods, and the 24 elements of cosmic manifestation were fully represented in the person of Vishnu. By the influence of Lord Vishnu, all subordinate mystic powers were engaged in his worship. He was being worshipped by time, space, cosmic manifestation, reformation, desire, activity, and the 3 qualities of material nature. Lord Vishnu, Brahma also realized, is the reservoir of all truth, knowledge, and bliss. He is the combination of 3 transcendental features, namely eternity, knowledge, and bliss, and he is the object of worship by the followers of the Upanishads. Brahma realized that all the different forms of cows, boys, and calves transformed into Vishnu forms were not transformed by a mysticism of the type that a yogi or a demigod can display by specific powers invested in him. The cows, calves, and boys transformed into Vishnu Murtis, or Vishnu forms, were not displays of Vishnu Maya or Vishnu energy, but were Vishnu himself. The respective qualifications of Vishnu and Vishnu Maya are just like fire and heat. In the heat, there is the qualification of fire, namely warmth, and yet heat is not fire. The manifestation of the Vishnu forms of the boys, calves, and cows was not like the heat, but rather the fire. They were all actually Vishnu. Factually, the qualification of Vishnu is full truth, full knowledge, and full bliss. Another example can be given with material objects, which are reflected in many, many forms. For example, the sun is reflected in many water pots, but the reflections of the sun in many pots are not actually the sun. There is no actual heat and light from the sun in the pot, although it appears as the sun. But the forms which Krishna assumed were each and every one full Vishnu. Satya means truth, Jnanam, full knowledge, and Ananda, full bliss.
Transcendental forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his person are so great that the impersonal followers of the Upanishads cannot reach the platform of knowledge to understand them. Particularly, the transcendental forms of the Lord are beyond the reach of the impersonalists who can only understand through the studies of Upanishad. That the absolute truth is not, I haven't finished reading, can you slow down? It's not matter that the absolute truth is not materially restricted by limited potency. Lord Brahma understood Krishna and his expansion into Vishnu forms and could understand that due to the expansion of energy of the Supreme Lord, everything movable and immovable within the cosmic manifestation is existing.
Excuse me for interrupting for 1 second. I've just been noticing, I'm just more aware of it myself, but just the last couple of readers, actually his name is pronounced Brahma. The emphasis is on the second syllable, Brahma. You see the line above the A? So I just wanted to add that.
Okay. When Brahma was thus standing barefoot in his limited power and conscious of his limited activities within the 11 senses, he could at least realize that he was also a creation of the material energy, just like a puppet. As a puppet has no independent power to dance, but dances according to the direction of the puppet master, so the demigods and living entities are all subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As it is stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the only master is Krishna, and all others are servants. The whole world is under the waves of the material spell, and beings are floating like straws in water. So their struggle for existence is continuing. But as soon as one becomes conscious that he is the eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this Maya or illusory struggle for existence is immediately stopped.
Bhavatrini? Are you able to read Bhavatrini?
I'm trying to get back to the screen. Okay, I got it. Now I don't have what to read yet. Can you hear me? Oh,
yes.
Oh, I can't seem to get the picture.
Okay. Rasangi, are you still walking?
The reading. I thought I got it. Nope,
Okay.
it left again.
Please.
Okay, someone else.
You're not able to read?
No, I can't get the.
Jivan Mukta Prabhu?
Oh, I got it. I got it there. Okay. Lord, is it Lord Brahma?
Yeah.
Is that where I start? Lord Brahma, who has full control over the goddess of learning and who is considered to be the best authority in Vedic knowledge, was thus perplexed, being unable to understand the extraordinary power manifested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the mundane world, even a personality like Brahma is unable to understand the potential mystic power of the Supreme Lord. Not only did Brahma fail to understand, but he was perplexed even to see the display which was being manifested by Krishna before him. Krishna took compassion upon Brahma's inability to see even how he was displaying the force of Vishnu and transforming himself into cows and cowherd boys. And thus, while fully manifesting the Vishnu expansion, he suddenly pulled his curtain of Yogamaya over the scene. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not visible due to the curtain spread by Yogamaya. That which covers the reality is Mahamaya, or the external energy, which does not allow a conditioned soul to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead beyond the cosmic manifestation. But the energy which partially manifests the Supreme Personality of Godhead and partially does not allow one to see is called Yogamaya. Brahma is not an ordinary conditioned soul. He is far, far superior to all the demigods. And yet he could not comprehend the display of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Krishna willingly stopped manifesting any further potency. The conditioned soul not only becomes bewildered, but he is completely unable to understand. The curtain of Yogamaya was drawn so that Brahma would not become more and more perplexed.
Was that 2 paragraphs?
Yes.
Okay. Jiva Mukta Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. When Brahma was relieved from his perplexity, he appeared to be awakened from an almost dead state, and he began to open his eyes with great difficulty. Thus he could see the eternal cosmic manifestation with common eyes. He saw all around him the super excellent view of Vrindavan, full of trees, which is the source of life for all living entities. He could appreciate the transcendental land of Vrindavan, where all the living entities are transcendental to ordinary nature. In the forest of Vrindavan, even ferocious animals like tigers and others live peacefully along with the deer and human being. He could understand that because of the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vrindavan, that place is transcendental to all other places and that there is no lust and greed there. Brahma thus found Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, playing the part of a small cowherd boy. He saw that little child with a lump of food in his left hand, searching out his friends, cows and calves, just as he was actually doing 1 year before, after their disappearance.
Immediately, Brahma descended from his great swan carrier and fell down before the Lord, just like a golden stick. The word used among the Vaishnavas for offering respect is dandavat. This word means falling down like a stick. One should offer respect to the superior Vaishnava by falling down straight with his body, just like a stick. So Brahma fell down before the Lord, just like a stick, to offer respect. And because the complexion of Brahma is golden, he appeared to be like a golden stick lying down before Lord Krishna. All the 4 helmets on the heads of Brahma touched the lotus feet of Krishna. Brahma, being very joyful, began to shed tears, and he washed the lotus feet of Krishna with his tears. Repeatedly, he fell and rose as he recalled the wonderful activities of the Lord. After repeating obeisances for a long time, Brahma stood up and smeared his hands over his eyes. Seeing the Lord before him, he, trembling, began to offer prayers with great respect, humility, and attention. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 13th chapter of Krishna, the stealing of the boys and cows by Brahma. So now we begin. We have 35 minutes to complete 2.5 chapters. Let's see how far we get. So this is chapter 14. Would you like to start, Krishna Chandra Prabhu? Prayers offered by Lord Brahma to Lord Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Brahma said, "My dear Lord, you are the only worshipful Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. Therefore, I am offering my humble obeisances and prayers just to please you. Your bodily features are of the colors of clouds filled with water. You are glittering with a silver electric aura emanating from your yellow garments." Brahma offers obeisances to please Krishna. Let me offer my respectful, repeated obeisances unto the son of Maharaj Nanda, who is standing before me with conch shell, earrings, and peacock feather on his head. His face is beautiful. He is wearing a helmet garlanded by forest flowers, and he stands with a morsel of food in his hand. He is decorated with cane and bugle, and he carries a buffalo horn and flute. He stands before me with small lotus feet.
Shuddha Sindhu.
My dear Lord, people may say that I am the master of all Vedic knowledge, and I am supposed to be the creator of this universe, but it has been proved now that I cannot understand your personality. Even though you are present before me just like a child, you are playing with your boyfriends, calves, and cows, which might imply that you do not even have sufficient education. You are appearing just like a village boy, carrying your food in your hand and searching for your cow. And yet there is so much difference between your body and mine that I cannot estimate the potency of your body. As I have already stated in the Brahma Samhita, your body is not material. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the body of the Lord is all spiritual. There's no difference between the Lord's body and his self. Each limb of his body can perform the actions of all the others. The Lord can see with his hands, he can hear with his eyes, he can accept offerings with his legs, and he can create with his mouth.
Nandapatni.
Brahma continued, "Your appearance as a cowherd child is for the benefit of the devotees. And although I've committed offenses at your lotus feet by stealing away your cows, boys, and calves, I can understand that you have mercy upon me. That is your transcendental quality. You're very affectionate towards your devotees. In spite of your affection for me, I cannot estimate the potency of your bodily activities. It's to be understood that when I, Lord Brahma, the Supreme Personality of this universe, cannot estimate the childlike body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then what to speak of others? And if I cannot estimate the spiritual potency of your childlike body, then what can I understand about your transcendental pastimes? Therefore, as it's said in the Bhagavad Gita, anyone who can understand a little of the transcendental pastimes, appearance and disappearance of the Lord becomes immediately eligible to enter into the kingdom of God after quitting the material body. This statement is also confirmed in the Vedas, and it's stated simply, by understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can overcome the chain of repeated birth and death. I therefore recommend that people should not try to understand you by their speculative knowledge. The best process for understanding you is to submissively give up the speculative process and try to hear about you, either from yourself, as you have given statements in the Bhagavad Gita and many similar Vedic literatures, or from a realized devotee who has taken shelter at your lotus feet. One has to hear from a devotee without speculation. One doesn't even need to change his worldly position. He simply has to hear your message. And although you're not understandable by the material senses, simply by hearing about you, one can gradually conquer the nescience of misunderstanding. By your own grace only, you become revealed to a devotee. You are unconquerable by any other means. Speculative knowledge without any trace of devotional service is simply a useless waste of time in search for you. Devotional service is so important that even a little attempt can raise one to the highest perfectional platform. One should not therefore neglect this auspicious process of devotional service and take to the speculative method. By the speculative method, one may gain partial knowledge of your cosmic manifestation, but it's not possible to understand you, the origin of everything. The attempts of persons who are interested only in speculative knowledge is simply wasted labor. You just scroll. Like the labor of a person who attempts to gain something by beating the empty husk of a rice paddy. A little quantity of paddy can be husked by the grinding wheel, and one can gain some grains of rice. But if the skin of the paddy is already beaten by the grinding wheel, there's no further gain in beating the husk. It's simply useless labor.
Jivanmukta is next.
Lord, there are many instances in the history of human society where a person, after failing to achieve the transcendental platform, engaged himself in devotional service with his body, mind, and words, and thus attained the highest perfectional state of entering into your abode. The processes of understanding you by speculation or mystic meditation are all useless without devotional service. One should therefore engage himself in your devotional service, even in his worldly activities. And one should always keep himself near you by the process of hearing and chanting your transcendental glories. Simply by being attached to hearing and chanting your glories, one can attain the highest perfectional stage and enter into your kingdom. If a person, therefore, always keeps in touch with you by hearing and chanting your glories and offers the results of his work for your satisfaction only, he very easily and happily attains entrance into your supreme abode. You are realized by persons who have cleansed their hearts of all contamination. This cleansing of the heart is made possible by chanting and hearing the glories of your Lordship. The Lord is all-pervading, as it is stated by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Hello, Gaur.
Yeah, 1 second, sorry, excuse me. My cursor wasn't working.
The Lord is all-pervading, as it is stated by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Everything is sustained by me, but at the same time, I am not in everything. Since the Lord is all-pervading, there is nothing existing without his knowledge. This all-pervasive nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead could never be within the limited knowledge of a living entity. Therefore, a person who has attained steadiness of the mind by fixing the mind on the lotus feet of the Lord is able to understand the Supreme Lord to some extent. It is the business of the mind to wander over varied subject matter for sense gratification. Therefore, only a person who engages the senses always in the service of the Lord can control the mind and be fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. This concentration of the mind upon the lotus feet of the Lord is called Samadhi. Unless one reaches the stage of Samadhi or trance, he cannot understand the nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There may be some philosophers or scientists who can study the cosmic nature from atom to atom. They may be so advanced that they can count the atomic composition of the cosmic atmosphere, or all the planets and stars in the sky, or even the shining molecular parts of the sun, or other stars and luminaries in the sky. But it is not possible to count the qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Was that two?
Yes, Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Bhavatrini, are you able to read now or not possible? Bhavatrini?
Yes, I can.
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. As described in the beginning of Vedanta Sutra, the Supreme Person is the origin of all qualities. He is generally called Nirguna. Nirguna means without qualities. Guna means quality, and nir means without. But impersonalists interpret this word nirguna as having no qualities, because they are unable to estimate the qualities of the Lord in transcendental realization. They conclude that the Supreme Lord has no qualities, but that is actually not the position. The real position is that he is the original source of all qualities. All qualities are emanating constantly from him. How, therefore, can a limited person count the qualities of the Lord? One may estimate the qualities of the Lord for one moment, but the next moment the qualities are increased. So it is not possible to make an estimation of the transcendental qualities of the Lord. He is therefore called Nirguna. His qualities cannot be estimated. One should not uselessly labor in mental speculation to estimate the Lord's qualities. There is no need of adopting the speculative method or exercising the body to attain mystic yoga perfection. One should simply understand that the distress and happiness of this body are predestined. There is no need to try to avoid the distress of this bodily. Can you scroll, please?
Yeah.
Thanks. Of this bodily existence, or to attempt to achieve happiness by different types of exercises. The best course is to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead with body, mind, and words, and always be engaged in his service. This transcendental labor is fruitful, but other attempts to understand the absolute truth are never successful. Therefore, an intelligent man does not try to understand the Supreme Person absolute truth by speculative or mystic power. Rather, he engages in devotional service and depends on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knows that whatever may happen to the body is due to his past fruit of activities. If one lives such a simple life in devotion, then automatically he can inherit the transcendental abode of the Lord. Actually, every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and a son of the Godhead. Each has a natural right to inherit and share the transcendental pleasures of the Lord. But due to the contact of matter, conditioned living entities have been practically disinherited. If one adopts the simple method of engaging himself in devotional service, automatically he becomes eligible to become freed from the material contamination and elevated to the transcendental position of associating with the Supreme Lord.
Wow. Is Nirguna able to read, or is he driving still?
He had to go into the eye doctor.
Okay, is Rasangi able to read now, or are you still walking? No sign of Rasangi. Okay, I guess it's back up to me then. Lord Brahma presented himself to Lord Krishna as the most presumptuous living creature because he wanted to examine the wonder of his personal power. He stole the boys and calves of the Lord in order to see how the Lord would recover them. After his maneuver, Lord Brahma, LIla, admitted that his attempt was most presumptuous, for he was attempting to test his energy before the person of original energy. Coming to his senses, Lord Brahma saw that although he was a very powerful living creature in the estimation of all other living creatures within this material world, what's all that noise? In comparison to the power and energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his power was nothing. The scientists of the material world have discovered wonders such as atomic weapons. And when tested in a city, could someone mute, please? Because it's getting all your noise in the background. Thanks. The scientists of the material world have discovered wonders such as atomic weapons. And when tested in a city or insignificant place on this planet, such powerful weapons create so-called havoc. But if the atomic weapons are tested on the sun, what is their significance? They are insignificant there. Similarly, Brahma's stealing the calves and boys from Sri Krishna may be a wonderful display of mystic power, but when Sri Krishna exhibited his expansive power in so many calves and boys and maintained them without effort, Brahma could understand that his own power was insignificant. Brahma addressed Lord Krishna as Achyuta because the Lord is never forgetful of a little service rendered by his devotee. He is so kind and affectionate towards his devotees that a little service by them is accepted by him as a great deal. Brahma has certainly rendered much service to the Lord. As the Supreme Personality in charge of this particular universe, he is, without a doubt, a faithful servant of Krishna. Therefore, he could appease Krishna. He asked that the Lord understand him as a subordinate servant whose little mistake and impudence might be excused. He admitted that he was puffed up by his powerful position as Lord Brahma. Because he is the qualitative incarnation of the mode of passion within this material world, this was natural for him, and therefore he committed the mistake. But after all, Lord Krishna would kindly take compassion upon him, upon his subordinate, and excuse him for his gross mistake. Krishna Chandra, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Lord Brahma realized.
Back.
Should I, am I going to continue, or is there already?
I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Please. No, let them bring it.
Oh, thank you.
Just continue.
Thank you.
Continue.
Lord Brahma realized his actual position. He is certainly the supreme teacher of this universe, in charge of the production of material nature consisting of complete material elements, false ego, sky, air, fire, water, and earth. Such a universe may be gigantic, but it can be measured, just as we measure our body as 7 cubits. Generally, everyone's personal bodily measurement is calculated to be 7 cubits of his hand. This particular universe may appear as a very gigantic body, but it is nothing but the measurement of 7 cubits for Lord Brahma. Aside from this universe, there are unlimited other universes which are outside the jurisdiction of this particular Lord Brahma, just as innumerable atomic infinitesimal fragments pass through the holes of a screened window, so millions and trillions of universes in their seedling form are coming out from the bodily pores of Mahavishnu. And that Mahavishnu is but a part of the plenary expansion of Krishna. Under these circumstances, although Lord Brahma is the supreme creature within this universe, what is his importance in the presence of Lord Krishna? Lord Brahma, therefore, compared himself to a little child within the womb of his mother. If the child within the womb plays with his hands and legs, and while playing touches the body of the mother, is the mother offended with the child? Of course she isn't. Similarly, Lord Brahma may be a very great personality, and yet not only Brahma, but everything that be is existing within the womb of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord's energy is all-pervading. There is no place in the creation where it is not acting. Everything is existing within the energy of the Lord. So the Brahma of this universe, or the Brahmas of the many other millions and trillions of universes, are existing within the energy of the Lord. Therefore, the Lord is considered to be the mother, and everything existing within the womb of the mother is considered to be the child. And the good mother is never offended with the child, even if he touches the body of the mother by kicking his legs.
Jivamukta, you're up next, Prabhu, and then Rasangi if she's around.
Do I read?
I've got Jivamukta next on my screen. Or okay, no, I guess not. It's hard to say. I see the doorway, but I don't see any person. So I don't know who that person is. So go ahead, Shuddhasindu, you're next. I guess.
Okay.
It's hard to keep track.
Lord Brahma then admitted that his birth was from the lotus flower which blossomed from the navel of Narayana after the dissolution of the three worlds or three planetary systems known as Buloka, Bhuvaloka, and Swaloka. The universe is divided into three divisions, namely Swarga, Mathya, and Patala. These three planetary systems are merged into water at the time of dissolution. At that time, Narayan, the plenary portion of Krishna, lies down on the water, and gradually a lotus stem grows from his navel, and from that lotus flower, Brahma is born. It is naturally concluded that the mother of Brahma is Narayan, because the Lord is the resting place of all the living entities. After the dissolution of the universe, he is called Narayan. The word Nara means the aggregate total of all living entities, and Ayana means the resting place. The form of Garbhodakasai, Vishnu, is called Narayan because he rests himself on that water. In addition, he is the resting place of all living creatures. Besides that, Narayan is also present in everyone's heart, as it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. In that sense also, he is Narayan, as Ayana means the source of knowledge as well as a resting place. It is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that remembrance of the living entity is due to the presence of the Supersoul within the heart. After changing the body, a living creature forgets everything of his past life. But because Narayan, the Supersoul, is present within his heart, he is reminded by him to act according to his past desire. Lord Brahma wanted to prove that Krishna is the original Narayan, that he is the source of Narayan, and that Narayan is not an exhibition of the external energy Maya, but he is an expansion of the spiritual energy. The activities of the external energy or Maya are exhibited after the creation of this cosmic world, and the original spiritual energy of Narayan was acting before the creation. So the expansions of Narayan from Krishna to Garbhodakasai Vishnu, from Garbhodakasai Vishnu to Kisoradakasai Vishnu, and from Kishirodakasai Vishnu to everyone's heart are manifestation of his spiritual energy. They are not conducted by the material energy, therefore they are not temporary. Anything conducted by the material energy is temporary, but everything executed by the spiritual energy is eternal. Lord Brahma reconfirmed this statement, establishing Krishna as the original Narayan. He said that the gigantic universal body is still resting on the water known as Gabodaka. He spoke as follows. This gigantic body of the universe is another manifestation of your energy. On account of its resting on the water, this universal form is also Narayan, as we are all within the womb of this. Oh, it's gone. The
Oops,
string
what
is
happened
gone.
there? How did that happen? Sorry. Go ahead. Where were you?
Yeah, here. I see your different Narayan forms everywhere. I can see you on the water. I can feel you within my heart. And I can also see you before me now. You are the original Narayan.
Nandapatni?
Okay. My dear Lord, in this incarnation, you've proved that you are the supreme controller of Maya. You remain within the cosmic manifestation, and yet the whole creation is within you. This fact has already been proved by you when you exhibited the whole universal creation within your mouth before Mother Yashoda. By your inconceivable potency of Yogamaya, you can make such things effective without external help. My dear Lord Krishna, the whole cosmic manifestation that we are visualizing at present is all within your body. And yet I'm seeing you outside, and you're also seeing me outside. How can such things happen without being influenced by your inconceivable energy?
That was really short. Could you read one more, please?
Lord Brahma stressed herein that without accepting the inconceivable energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot explain things as they are. He continued, my dear Lord, leaving aside all other things and just considering today's happenings, what I've seen, are they not all due to your inconceivable energies? First of all, I saw you alone. Thereafter, you expanded yourself as your friends, the calves and all the existence of Vrindavan. And then I saw you and all the boys as four-handed Vishnus, and they were being worshipped by all the elements and all the demigods, including myself. Again, they all became cowherd boys, and you remained alone as you were before. Does this not mean that you are the Supreme Lord, Narayan, the origin of everything, and from you everything emanates, and again, everything enters unto you, and you remain the same as before?
Rasangi, it would be your turn, but if you're driving, then we can just pass it on to Bhavatrini and Hari.
Yeah, I'm going to be driving, so why don't
Okay.
they take it on? Sorry.
Okay, please continue, Bhavatrini and Hari.
Okay, I'm able to read now.
Great.
So there'll be persons who are unaware.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Persons who are unaware of your inconceivable energy cannot understand that you alone expand yourself as a creator Brahma, maintainer Vishnu, and annihilator Shiva. Persons who are not in awareness of things as they are contemplate that I, Brahma, am the creator, Vishnu is the maintainer, and Lord Shiva is the annihilator. Actually, you are alone everything, creator, maintainer, and annihilator. Similarly, you expand yourself in different incarnations. Among the demigods, you incarnate as Vamandev. Among the great sages, you incarnate as Parashuram. Among the human beings, you appear yourself as Lord Krishna. And Lord Ram, among the animals, you appear as the boar incarnation. Among the aquatics, you appear as the incarnation of fish. And yet, you have no appearance. You are always eternal. Your appearance and disappearance are made possible by your inconceivable energy, just to give protection to the faithful devotees and to annihilate the demons. O my Lord, O all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Super Soul, controller of all mystic powers, no one can appreciate your transcendental pastimes as they are exhibited within these three worlds. No one can estimate how you have expanded your Yogamaya and your incarnation and how you act by your transcendental energy. My dear Lord, this whole cosmic manifestation is just like a flashing dream, and its temporary existence simply disturbs the mind. As a result, we are full of anxiety in this existence. To live within the material world means simply to suffer and to be full of all miseries. And yet, this temporary existence of the material world appears to be pleasing and dear on account of its having evolved from your body, which is eternal and full of bliss and knowledge.
It's one more paragraph, I think, right?
Okay. My conclusion is, therefore, that you are the Supreme Soul, absolute truth, and the Supreme Original Person. And although you have expanded yourself in so many Vishnu forms or in living entities and energies, by your inconceivable transcendental potencies, you are the Supreme One without a second. You are the Supreme Super Soul. The innumerable living entities are simply like sparks of the original fire. Your Lordship, you moved it in it. You are the Supreme One without a second. You are the Supreme Super. The innumerable living entities are simply like sparks of the original fire. Your Lordship, the conception of Super Soul as impersonal is wrongly accepted because I see that you are the original person. A person with poor fund of knowledge may think that because you are the son of Maharaj Nanda, you are not the original person, that you are born just like a human being. They are mistaken. You are the actual original person, and it's my conclusion. In spite of your being the son of Nanda, you are the original person, and there is no doubt about it. You are the absolute truth, and you are not of this material darkness. You are the source of the original Brahma Jyoti, as well as the material luminaries. Your transcendental effulgence is identical with Brahma Jyoti. As it is described in the Brahma Samhita, the Brahma Jyoti is nothing but your personal bodily effulgence. There are many Vishnu incarnations and incarnations of your different qualities, but all those incarnations are not on the same level. You are the original lamp. Other incarnations may possess the same candle power as the original lamp, but the original lamp is the beginning of all light. And because you are not one of the creations of this material world, even after the annihilation of this world, your existence as you will continue.
Bavatrini, are you able to read?
Yes.
It's ready.
Oh, okay.
Because
you are the original person, you are therefore described in the Gopala Tapani, the Vedic Upanishad, as well as in the Brahma Samhita as Govindam Adi Purusham. Govinda is the original person, the cause of all causes. In the Bhagavad Gita also it is stated that you are the source of the Brahman effulgence. No one should conclude that your body is like an ordinary material body. Your body is aksara, shara, indestructible. The material body is always full of threefold miseries, but your body is Satchidananda Vigraha, full of being, bliss, knowledge, and eternality. You are also Niranjana, because your pastimes as the little son of Mother Yashoda or the Lord of the Gopis are never contaminated by the material qualities. And although you exhibited yourself in so many cowherd boys, calves, and cows, your transcendental potency is not reduced. You are always complete. As it is described in the Vedic literature, even if the complete is taken away from the complete, supreme absolute truth, it yet remains the complete, supreme absolute truth. And although many expansions from the complete are visible, the complete is one without a second. Since all your pastimes are spiritual, there is no possibility of their being contaminated by the material modes of nature. When you place yourself subordinate to your father and mother, Nanda and Yashoda, you are not reduced in your potency. This is an expression of your loving attitude for your devotees. There is no other competitor or second identity than yourself. A person with a poor fund of knowledge concludes that your pastimes and appearance are simply material designations. You are transcendental to both nescience and knowledge. As it is confirmed in the Gopala Tapani, you are the original Amrita, nectar of immortality, indestructible. As it is confirmed in the Vedas, Amritam Sasvatam Brahme. Brahman is the eternal, the supreme origin of everything, who has no birth or death. In the Upanishads, it is stated that the supreme Brahman is as effulgent as the sun and is the origin of everything. And anyone who can understand that original person becomes liberated from the material condition of life. Anyone who can simply be attached to you by devotional service can know your actual position, your birth, appearance, disappearance, and activities. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, simply by understanding your constitutional position, appearance, and disappearance, one can be immediately elevated to the spiritual kingdom after quitting this present body. Therefore, to cross over the ocean of material nescience, an intelligent person takes shelter of your lotus feet and is easily transferred to the spiritual world. There are so many so-called meditators who do not know that you are the Supreme Soul. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, you are the Supreme Soul present in everyone's heart. Therefore, there is no necessity of one's meditating on something beyond you. One who is always absorbed in meditation on your original form of Krishna easily crosses over the ocean of material nescience. But persons who do not know that you are the Supreme Soul remain within this material world in spite of their so-called meditation. If, by the association of your devotees, a person comes to the knowledge that Lord Krishna is the original Super Soul, then it is possible for him to cross over the ocean of material ignorance. For instance, a person becomes transcendental to the mistake of thinking a rope is a snake. As soon as one understands that the rope is not a snake, he is liberated from fear. One who understands you, therefore, through your personal teachings, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, or through your pure devotees, as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam and all Vedic literatures, that you are the ultimate goal of understanding, he need no more fear this material existence.
Jivan Mukta.
So-called liberation and bondage have no meaning for a person who is already engaged in your devotional service. Just as a person who knows that the rope is not a snake is unafraid. A devotee knows that this material world belongs to you, and he therefore engages everything in your transcendental loving service. Thus, there is no bondage for him. For a person who is already situated in the sun planet,
There is no question of the appearance or disappearance of the sun in the name of day or night. Are you still there?
yeah.
Hello?
Could you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, you disappeared.
Oh, sorry. Here, let me get the video on.
There is no question of the appearance. You were finishing that sentence.
Yeah. So when the sun is present, there's no question of darkness. So For those who are always in your presence, there's no question of bondage or liberation. They are already liberated. On the other hand, persons who falsely think themselves to be liberated without taking shelter of your lotus feet fall down because their intelligence is not pure. If one therefore think, by the way, that's a very famous
Yeah.
Sanskrit verse.
Aruya Krishna Parang Padang. Yeah.
Yeah. If one therefore the super soul is something different from your personality and thus searches out the super soul somewhere else, in the forest or in the caves of the Himalayas, his condition is very lamentable.
That was a really short paragraph. Could you read another one, please?
Sure. Your teachings in the Bhagavad Gita are that one should give up all other processes of self-realization and simply surrender unto you, for that is complete. Because you are supreme in everything, those who are searching after the Brahman effulgence are also searching after you. And those who are searching after the super soul, who are searching after super soul realization are also searching after you. You have stated in the Bhagavad Gita that you yourself, by your partial representation as a super soul, have entered into this material cosmic manifestation. You are present in everyone's heart, and there is no need to search out the super soul anywhere else. If someone does so, he is simply in ignorance.
One who is transcendental. Are you there? One who is transcendental to such a position.
A devotee only concentrates his mind on you within. Actually, one who is liberated from the material concept of life can search for you. Others cannot. The simile of thinking the rope to be a snake is applicable only to those who are still in ignorance of you. Actually, the existence of a snake besides the rope is only within the mind. The existence of Maya, similarly, is only within the mind. Maya is nothing but ignorance of your personality. When one forgets your personality, that is the conditional state of Maya. Therefore, one who is fixed upon you both internally and externally is not illusioned.
Krishna Chandra, are you next? I can't tell. All I see is a doorway. Is that you? The picture of just a doorway? There's no face. It's two doorways. And I've asked that person to unmute and I don't get a response. So anyway, one who has attained a little devotional service can understand your glories. Even when striving for Brahman realization or Paramatma realization, cannot understand the different features of your personality unless he treads the devotional path. One may be the spiritual master of many impersonalists, or he may go to the forest or to a cave or a mountain and meditate as a hermit for many, many years, but he cannot understand your glories without being favored by a slight degree of devotional service. Brahman realization or Paramatma realization are also not possible, even after one searches for many, many years, unless one is touched by the wonderful effect of devotional service. Now back to Lord Brahma's prayer. My dear Lord, I pray that I may be so fortunate that in this life or in another life, wherever I may take my birth, I may be counted as one of your devotees. Wherever I may be, I pray that I may be engaged in your devotional service. I do not even care what form of life I get in the future, because I can see that even in the form of cows and calves or cowherd boys, the devotees are so fortunate to be always engaged in your transcendental loving service and association. Therefore, I wish to be one of them instead of such an exalted person as I am now, for I am full of ignorance. The gopis and cows of Vrindavan are so fortunate that they have been able to supply their breast milk to you. Persons who are engaged in performing great sacrifices and offering many valuable goats in the sacrifice cannot attain the perfection of understanding you, but simply by devotional service, these innocent village women and cows are all able to satisfy you with their milk. You have drunk their milk to satisfaction, yet you are never satisfied by those engaged in performing sacrifices. I am simply surprised, therefore, with the fortunate position of Maharaj Nanda, Mother Yashoda, and the coward men and gopis, because you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, are existing here as their most intimate, lovable object. My dear Lord, no one can actually appreciate the good fortune of these residents of Vrindavan. We are all demigods controlling deities of the various senses of the living entities, and we are proud of enjoying such privileges. But actually, there is no comparison between our position and the position of those fortunate residents of Vrindavan, because they are actually relishing your presence and enjoying your association by dint of their activities. We may be proud of being controllers of the senses, but here the residents of Vrindavan are so transcendental that they are not under our control. Actually, they are enjoying the senses through service to you. I shall therefore consider myself fortunate to be given a chance to take birth in this land of Vrindavan in any of my future lives. Nandapatni.
My dear Lord, I am therefore not interested in either material opulences or liberation. I'm most humbly praying at your lotus feet for you to please give me any sort of birth within this Vrindavan forest, so that I may be able to be favored by the dust of the feet of some of the devotees of Vrindavan. If I'm given the chance to grow just as a humble grass in this land, that will be a glorious birth for me. But if I'm not so fortunate to take birth within the forest of Vrindavan, I beg to be allowed to take birth outside the immediate area of Vrindavan, so that when the devotees go out, they'll walk over me. Even that would be a great fortune for me. I'm just aspiring for a birth in which I'll be smeared by the dust of the devotees' feet. It's confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that the purpose of Vedic knowledge is to find Krishna. And it's said in the Brahma Samhita that it's very difficult to find Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by systematic reading of the Vedic literature. But he is very easily available through the mercy of a pure devotee. The pure devotees of Vrindavan are fortunate because they can see Mukunda, Lord Krishna, all the time. This word Mukunda can be understood in two ways. Muk, meaning liberation. Lord Krishna can give liberation and therefore transcendental bliss. The word also refers to his smiling face, which is just like the kunda flower. Mukha also means face. The kunda flower is very beautiful and it appears to be smiling. Thus, the comparison is made.
Shraddha Sindhu, please.
The difference between the pure devotees of Vrindavan and other devotees is that the residents of Vrindavan have no other desire but to be associated with Krishna. Krishna, being very kind to his devotees, fulfills their desire because they always want Krishna's association. The Lord is always prepared to give it to them. The devotees of Vrindavan are also spontaneous lovers. They do not follow the regulative principles. They are not required to strictly follow regulative principles because they are already naturally developed in transcendental love for Krishna. Regulative principles are required for persons who have not achieved the position of transcendental love. Brahma is also a devotee of the Lord, but he is subject to follow the regulative principles. He prays to Krishna to give him the chance to take birth in Vrindavan so that he might be elevated to the platform of spontaneous love. Lord Brahma continued, "My Lord, sometimes I am puzzled as to how your Lordship will be able to repay in gratitude the devotional service of these residents of Vrindavan. Although I know that you are the supreme source of all benediction, I am puzzled to know how you will be able to repay all the service that you are receiving from these residents of Vrindavan. I think of how you are so kind, so magnanimous, that even Putana, who came to cheat you by dressing herself as a very affectionate mother, was awarded liberation and the actual post of a mother. And other demons belonging to the same family, such as Agasura and Bakasura, were also favored with the liberation. Under the circumstances, I am puzzled. These residents of Vrindavan have given you everything, their bodies, their minds, their love, their homes. Everything is being utilized for your purpose. So how will you be able to repay their debt? You have already given yourself to Putana. I submit that you shall ever remain a debtor to the residents of Vrindavan, being unable to repay their loving service. My Lord, I can understand that the super excellent service of the residents of Vrindavan is due to their spontaneously engaging all natural instincts in your service. It is said that the attachment for material objects and home is due to illusion, which makes a living entity conditioned in the material world. But this is only the case for persons who are not in Krishna conscious. In the case of residents of Vrindavan, such obstructions as attachment to the heart and home are non-existent, because their attachment has been converted unto you and their home has been converted into a temple, because you're always there, and because they have forgotten everything for your sake, there's no impediment. For a Krishna conscious person, there's no such thing as impediments in heart and home, nor there is illusion.
Was that two? Did you read two?
Yeah, she did.
Okay. Who's next? After Nanda Patni, it is Nrihari and Bhavatrini. Either of you? Or
We start reading now or after Nanda Patni?
oh, Nanda Patni. Okay.
I thought she just read before her.
I thought so too.
Okay, so all right, here about Trini.
No, you read.
Okay, I can also understand that your appearance as a small coward boy, a child of the coward men, is not at all a material activity. You are so much obliged by their affection that you are here to enthuse them with more loving service by your transcendental presence. In Vrindavan, there is no distinction between material and spiritual, because everything is dedicated to your loving service. My dear Lord, your Vrindavan pastimes are simply to enthuse your devotees. If someone takes your Vrindavan pastimes to be material, he will be misled. My dear Lord Krishna, those who deride you, claiming that you have a material body like an ordinary man, are described in the Bhagavad Gita as demoniac and less intelligent. You are always transcendental. The non-devotees are cheated because they consider you to be a material creation. Actually, you have assumed this body, which resembles that of an ordinary coward boy, simply to increase the devotion and transcendental bliss of your devotees. That's second.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think I read two, didn't I?
Yeah, Shiva Mukta.
My dear Lord, I have nothing to say about people who advertise that they have already realized God, or that by their realization they have themselves become God. But as far as I am concerned, I admit frankly that for me, it is not possible to realize you by my body, mind, or speech. What can I say about you, or how can I realize you by my senses? I cannot even think of you perfectly with my mind, which is the master of the senses. Your qualities, your activities, and your body cannot be conceived by any person within this material world. Only by your mercy can one understand, to some extent, what you are. My dear Lord, you are the supreme Lord of all creation. Although I sometimes falsely think that I am the master of this universe, I may be master of this universe, but there are innumerable universes, and there are innumerable Brahmas also who preside over these universes. But actually, you are the master of them all. As a super soul in everyone's heart, you know everything. Please therefore accept me as your surrendered servant. I hope that you will excuse me for disturbing you in your pastimes with your friends and calves. Now, if you will kindly allow me, I will immediately leave so you can enjoy your friends and calves without my presence.
What?
My dear Lord Krishna, your very name suggests that you are all attractive. The attraction of the sun and the moon are all due to you. By the attraction of the sun, you are beautifying the very existence of the Yadu dynasty. With the attraction of the moon, you are enhancing the potency of the land, the demigods, the Brahmins, the cows, and the oceans.
I end the call?
No, that's the number for this.
Oh, I see.
Because of your supreme
I have to
attraction,
mute you, Nihari, talking.
demons like Kamsa and others are annihilated. Therefore, it is my deliberate conclusion that you are the only worshipable deity within the creation. Accept my humble obeisances until the annihilation of this material world. As long as there is sunshine within this material world, kindly accept my humble obeisances.
In this way, Brahma, the master of this universe, after offering humble and respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and circumambulating him 3 times, was ready to return to his abode known as Brahma Loka. By his gesture, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gave him permission to return. As soon as Brahma left, Lord Sri Krishna immediately appeared as he had on the very day the cows and cowherd boys had vanished. Krishna had left his friends on the bank of the Yamuna while they were engaged in lunch, and although he returned exactly 1 year later, the cowherd boys thought that he had returned within a second. That is the way of Krishna's different energies and activities. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna himself is residing in everyone's heart, and he causes both remembrance and forgetfulness. All living entities are controlled by the supreme energy of the Lord, and sometimes they remember and sometimes they forget their constitutional position. His friends, being controlled in such a way, could not understand that for 1 whole year they were absent from the Yamuna bank and were under the spell of Brahma's illusion. When Krishna appeared before the boys, they thought, Krishna has returned within a minute. They began to laugh, thinking that Krishna was not willing to leave their lunchtime company. They were very jubilant and invited him, Dear friend Krishna, you've come back so quickly. All right, we have not as yet begun our lunch, not even taken 1 morsel of food, so please come and join us, and let us eat together. Krishna smiled and accepted their invitation, and he began to enjoy the lunchtime company of his friends. While eating, Krishna was thinking, these boys believe that I have come back within a second, but they do not know that for the last year I have been involved with the mystic activities of Lord Brahma. And Nandapatni.
After finishing their lunch, Krishna and his friends and calves began to return to their Vrajabhumi homes. While passing, they enjoyed seeing the dead carcass of Aghasura in the shape of a gigantic serpent. When Krishna returned home to Brajabhumi, he was seen by all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. He was wearing a peacock feather in his helmet, which was also decorated with forest flowers. Krishna was also garlanded with flowers and painted with different colored minerals collected from the caves of Govardhan Hill. Govardhan Hill is always famous for supplying natural red dyes, and Krishna and his friends painted their bodies with them. Each of them had a bugle made of buffalo horn, and a stick and a flute, and each called his respective calves by their particular names. They were so proud of Krishna's wonderful activities that while entering the village, they all sang his glories. All the gopis in Vrindavan saw beautiful Krishna entering the village. The boys composed nice songs describing how they were saved from being swallowed by the great serpent and how the serpent was killed. Some described Krishna as the son of Yashoda and others as the son of Nanda Maharaj. He is so wonderful that he saved us from the clutches of the great serpent and he killed him, they said. But little did they know that 1 year had passed since the killing of the Aghasura. In this regard, Maharaj Pariksit asked Sukadeva Goswami how the inhabitants of Vrindavan suddenly developed so much love for Krishna, although Krishna was not a member of any of their families. Maharaj Pariksit inquired, during the absence of the original cowherd boys, when Krishna expanded himself, why is it that the boys' parents became more loving towards him than towards their own sons? Also, why did the cows become so loving towards their calves more than towards their own calves?
Shudasinda, are you there? I only see curtains in the background. I can't tell who that person is because I just see curtains. If you're not there, then Nirhadi or Bhavatrini. Shukadev Goswami told.
Okay. All right. Sukadeva Goswami told Maharaj Pariksit that every living entity is actually most attached to his own self. Outward paraphernalia such as home, family, friends, country, society, wealth, opulence, reputation, etc., are all only secondary in pleasing the living entity. They please only because they bring pleasure to the self. For this reason, one is self-centered, and it is attached to his body and self more than he is to relatives like wife, children, and friends. If there is some immediate danger to one's own person, he first of all takes care of himself, then others. That is natural. That means more than anything else, he loves his own self. The next important object of affection after his own self is his material body. A person who has no information of the spirit soul is very much attached to his material body. So much so that even in old age, he wants to preserve the body in so many artificial ways, thinking that his old and broken body can be saved. Everyone is working hard day and night just to give pleasure to his own self under either the bodily or spiritual concept of life. We are attached to material possessions because they give pleasure to the senses or to the body. The attachment to the body is there only because the I, the spirit soul, is within the body. Similarly, when one is further advanced, he knows that the spirit soul is pleasing because it is part and parcel of Krishna. Ultimately, it is Krishna who is pleasing and all attractive. He is the super soul of everything. And in order to give us this information, Krishna descends and tells us that the all attractive center is he himself. Without being an expansion of Krishna, nothing can be attractive. Whatever is attractive within the cosmic manifestation is due to Krishna. Krishna is therefore the reservoir of all pleasure. The active ingredient of everything is Krishna, and highly elevated transcendentalists see everything in connection with him. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that a Mahabhagavat, or highly advanced devotee, sees Krishna as the active principle in all movable and immovable living entities. Therefore, he sees everything within this cosmic manifestation in relation to Krishna. For the fortunate person who has taken shelter of Krishna as everything, liberation is already there. He is no longer in the material world. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Whoever is engaged in devotional service of Krishna is already on the Brahma Bhuta or spiritual platform. The very name Krishna suggests piety and liberation. Anyone who takes shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna enters the boat of crossing over the ocean of omniscience. For him, this vast expansion of the material manifestation becomes as significant as a hoofprint. Krishna is the center of all great souls, and he is the shelter of the material worlds.
Jiva Mukta, would you like to finish the evening, please? Are you there?
I'll read it.
This is a little paragraph.
Yes, no? If you're not there, Jiva Mukta, then Shuddha Sindhu, maybe you can finish.
For one who is on the platform of Krishna consciousness, Vaikuntha or the spiritual world is not far away. He does not live within the material world where there is danger at every step. In this way, Krishna consciousness was fully explained by Sukadev Goswami to Maharaj Pariksit. Sukadev Goswami even recited to the king the statements and prayers of Lord Brahma. These descriptions of Lord Krishna's pastime with his cowherd boys, his eating with them on the bank of Yamuna, and Lord Brahma's prayer unto him are all transcendental subject matters. Anyone who hears, recites, or chants them surely gets all his spiritual desires fulfilled.
Wow.
Thus, Krishna's childhood appearance, his sporting with Balaram in Vrindavan, was described.
Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 14th chapter of Krishna, prayers offered by Lord Brahma to Lord Krishna. So I know that Nandapatni and Jiva Mukta usually like to leave by now. I'm really grateful that you stuck around. I have some questions and comments. I'm not obliging you to stay if you want to go. I just wanted to say, I'd like to bring up some points personally. I'd like to say that we had 1.5 chapters to finish for today to catch up. So we're behind 1.5 chapters if we want to arrive at Govardhan Lila. And we have 2.5 chapters for next time. So that's 2, 3. We have 4 chapters to do next time we read on Friday. But I really appreciate that nobody's like giving long commentaries because even though we did all reading tonight, pretty much, we're still 4 chapters behind. So
we spent a long time on the Damodara Stakam.
Yeah, we did. One question I have to raise is that, so Lord Brahma, he wanted to see Krishna's power. I mean, it seems to suggest that Lord Brahma already knew that Lord Krishna has these amazing mystic powers, but yet later it says that he was sort of like asking forgiveness for his presumptuousness. So it appears like there's some kind of contradiction going on, but of course there never is. So I'm just trying to understand that. On the one hand, Lord Brahma wanted to be amazed by Krishna's power, and so he did his foolery, he did his trickery to hide the cows and cowherd boys. So why would he be? I mean, I guess even though he expected Krishna to do something amazing, it was much more amazing than what he had anticipated. Is that the correct understanding?
Yeah, but also it says there that there was that element of pride on Lord Brahma, thinking, I think many times I think I'm the creator. And
he also says that that little boy can't be Krishna.
Yeah.
So he had his doubts.
Right.
In other words, he knew that he knows that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he didn't think that little Krishna was that Krishna.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but he did say, well, that little boy playing like, walking around looking for cows with food in his hand, how can that be the Supreme Personality of Godhead?
Right. Nandapatni, you have a comment on that?
No, I mean, I was wondering myself the deep reason for his doing it, because I mean, he had already offered the Brahma Samhita, so he knew Krishna's power, but I think Bhavatarini has got the right angle there. Yeah.
Also, it's LIla, it's Yoga Maya who's acting right now.
Mm-hmm.
This confusion comes, it's a pastime.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's all, I like the other part is like, he says to anybody who wants to even myself, it's like we said, we wrap our head around something, meaning we understand it. And so many times we get real puffed up thinking, even ourselves, I know it's me at least, that, I have to understand everything. And it's
put the camera on your face
little,
if you don't mind, instead of the ceiling of your car.
Oh, sorry. That's right. I stopped already, so I can take my rock and roll
Okay,
glasses.
please finish what you're saying.
Words. Okay. I go a little. No, that he says, even myself, I cannot say that I can understand this Supreme Personality of Godhead
as well.
Fully.
And then also, you've heard outrage from parents when it comes to the curriculum, and maybe.
Oh, okay. That was somebody. Something that wasn't my voice. But anyhow, and the other thing I saw it. So that's like really this pastime is really for. I mean, I don't know. It's like usually it each pastime is so multi-layered, but it's and I feel like it responds to that. Those who want to understand God in an intellectual way, or those who I've seen that many times, even in some of these Zoom meetings, and devotees who have like so-called scholastic credentials. They want to, everything has to be explained intellectually, using intelligence, and it cannot be comprehended that way. It says Lord Brahma is right there, and we read all the time. The devotional service is the way to understand, up to our capacity to understand the Supreme Lord.
But there's more to this pastime when he goes back to Brahmaloka. Krishna's gone there disguised as Lord Brahma, and says he's Lord Brahma and an impostor is coming. So when Lord Brahma gets back, they refuse to let him in. And
can we see your face, please, Bhavatarini?
Sure.
Can we see your face instead of the back of your van?
They refuse to let him in, and he's going, well, you know me, I'm Lord Brahma with the 4 heads.
Right.
And then Krishna has all the Brahmas come from all the other universes. So this was to crush his pride and bring him to a higher level of love.
Yeah, he's his devotee. So this is the impetus for his next appearance as Haridas Thakur, the most humble, personality we can ever think of. Mm-hmm. So the other thing I just thought it was curious is when they described the cowherd boys, they had a flute,
right,
and the horn,
and a stick,
and with the stick, and with the flute they can call their cows and other names. So these are not ordinary boys. I mean, just before, I think that yesterday or the day before, we were reading that each one has 100,000 calves or something like that to take care of. So it's all, and to an ordinary, even first level devotees, Vrindavan is like a little village, and so they're just simple people, the cowherd boys, like that.
You were wondering, is that what you're going to say? You were wondering how Lord Brahma was able to.
Yeah, and this being such great personalities, these cowherd boys, I was just like, thinking, I asked Bhavatarini too, like, how is it that Lord Brahma is possible for him to steal the voice or create an illusion on them? So it's all LIla. It's all pastime like that, obviously, because these are great personalities. They have all the power. I mean, they can imagine. At the same time, they're playing. They're being forcefully. I mean, Yoga Maya is
They're sort of playing. They're sort of playing dumb.
yes,
Yeah.
that's what it is. But they believe in it. It's like Krishna. He's
Mugdha.
Mugdha. Mugdha means that he's ignorant.
Right.
He's the one when they came. All the coward men, the old coward men came to Nanda Maharaj. Says, we're all delivering, and I think that your son is, he's somebody so powerful. We think that he's the supreme personality of Godhead. So you better be careful how you treat him. We're like, and Nanda Maharaj actually laughs and he said, you don't even have your teeth, your milk teeth.
You're not even.
In the Vedic society, 50 is just beginning of maybe your
Adulthood.
adulthood or wise, and you acting all like you're so wise, but he's crying every day for chapati, and he doesn't get milk on time. He's also crying. So you telling me that? So it's like that. It's always when they're about to realize that, and Krishna, boom, Yoga Maya comes and covers them.
Right. I just wanted to say that I was really appreciating the residents of Vrindavan. Brahma's appreciation of the residents of Vrindavan, and how, and he's asking Krishna, like, how could you ever repay them, because they love you so much. I'm just really impressed by Lord Brahma's being having his mind blown, as we used to say. His mind's completely blown. And this,
absolutely.
This brings me to a question, which of course could be a whole other discussion. And I'm not trying to keep anybody here, but I'm grateful that you're still here, Nandapatni and Jivan Mukta. If you are here, I don't know if Jivan Mukta left or not.
Jivan Mukta just said goodbye. He just said goodbye.
That's unfortunate. Anyway, he would love this question. But so the question that I've been asking different God brothers is, ever since someone mentioned to me, well, isn't Vyasa Pujas actually only meant for Mahabhagavats? So I'm wondering, Lord Brahma is like in amazement of Krishna's potency. So my question is, if somebody really realizes how incredible and fantastic Srila Prabhupada is, would they have a Vyasa Puja for themselves? And would they sit there listening to their glories? Just asking a question.
Okay, so, in that Damodara prayers, it says, for those, you just came to show that unless they deal with you in an intimate way, you're not available to them. So in the prayers of Lord Brahma, the devotee was reading, I forget now, and I will find you the quote. I think it's Vishwanath Chakravarti, and more details on his commentary on Bhagavatam. That Krishna is not paying attention. Lord Brahma is going through all this that we're reading, and Krishna is just looking away from him.
All distracted.
All, just looking at his friends and the scenery, and Brahma is composing. It's Lord Brahma. He has 4 brains. He said, he is the creator of it. There's no one more intelligent than he. So he can compose he's the original composer of the most amazing Vedic.
Well, I get
prayers.
that. I get that.
But Krishna, until he starts talking about the residents of Raj and giving praise to them, that's when Krishna then starts looking at them.
Nice.
So,
so I spoke with Avadut Maharaj, our godbrother Upananda Prabhu, and he said when he went to Fiji and he accompanied Narayan Maharaj there, his sannyas guru, he said on his birthday, or Vyasa Puja day, he went and he worshipped the 6 gurus that preceded him.
It's the 5 panchakas. It's called the 5 panchakas.
He used incense and flowers, and he did about a 45-minute or so, maybe an hour long puja. And then after that, he said, so if you want to speak now, you can. And he left the room. He didn't even stick around to hear anybody glorify him. And Tridandi Maharaj, in a conversation with him this morning, he said, yes, he said, only conditioned souls want to listen to themselves being glorified. You know, that's not our business.
Here too, and yeah. In Hilo, he did the same thing. He said, I had to show you, because he was getting all this, people calling, people coming forward, happy birthday, Mahar. He said, no. He said, you had to learn, that I'm sitting on representing the Guru Varga at this moment for you. But I'm not, it's not to honor me. I'm honoring the 5 gurus. It's called 5 groups of 5. But before I was like, Baba, got me off guard, and like, what is that to do with? That the intimacy is how we see Prabhupada. There's external behavior that has to be according to, etiquette. And it's like who was to be honored, and there was going to be Vyasa Puja and Lord Chaitanya's pastimes of Nityananda, they're trying to do the honor, and he's just
yes,
like,
and Lord Nityananda gave the garland that was being given to him for his Vyasa Puja and gave it to Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah, because everything is original. With Vyasa is 17th incarnation of the Lord. It's all come up to actually we worship in the one Lord. And Nityananda Prabhu is Godhead, is the original spiritual master. Balaram is.
That I understand. So, okay, I'll just try to cut to the chase more. The question I'm asking,
okay,
with all due respect to all the 100 initiating gurus in ISKCON, is it actually proper?
There's 100?
About 80, 100, something like that.
Wow.
Is it actually proper for them to sit and hear their disciples glorifying them, how amazing and wonderful they are in light of who Srila Prabhupada is? Should they not be leaving the room? Because what these 2 sannyasis, Avadut Maharaj, Tridandi Maharaj, were saying to me is that on Vyasa Puja Day, then the guru glorifies his guru. He doesn't listen to everyone else glorifying him. He doesn't want to sit there listening to people glorifying him. So, it's not my intention to criticize the JBC or criticize the gurus of ISKCON. I'm just trying to get clarity. According to our Gaudiya Vaishnav Siddhanta, is it proper for a current guru to sit and hear people glorifying him? What do you think, Nandapatni? You have an answer?
Well, I mean, if they are in the right mind, my understanding is that they only accept any glorification on behalf of their Guru Varga. I mean, even though a disciple might be offering it to them because they are like their Diksha and Shiksha present. But the mindset, is that it's being received on behalf of, in this case, the guru before us, which was Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta, etc., in whichever line you're in. But I mean, the actual person who's taking the seat of Vyasa asana, that's meant to be the mindset, isn't it? And whether they're Madhyamadikari or whether they're Mahabhagavata, whatever they are, but there has to be somebody through which the disciples can actually offer the Guru Puja. Is that correct, Nrihari?
Well, as I understand from the acharyas, probably about Madhyam, because it's Madhyam, Kanishta, or, Madhyam, and then it's Madhyam Uttama. And then we learned that actually the great spiritual masters, Mahabhagavats, they come down to the level of Madhyam in order to teach. So that even Prabhupada, you see, he glorified his spiritual master. I mean, there's the homage, there's poetry he composed for him.
When he was on the planet, he accepted Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he accepted praise. right? He accepted praise and poetry and lectures. And Srila Prabhupada also accepted.
Exactly. Mhm.
And
Yes, but my
so
question
his
is,
disciples, I get
So
you. I
then,
understand.
yeah.
Okay, I understand your question.
if
Right.
one is if one is
As
if
a-
one
as
is
a-
not, if one is not on the platform of Mahabhagavat, isn't a disciple potentially doing a disservice to their guru by glorifying? I mean, considering how many fatalities and how many have fallen down
No.
due to prophet adoration and distinction, isn't there a danger?
See, but it's like Nanda Patni was saying. It depends on this personality. How is he going to react to being worshipped? If he's a pure devotee, Madhyam, I mean, Prabhupada told us in person. He told Hanuman and I that he wanted all his disciples to come to platform. Not maybe Mahabharata, that takes it, like even Narayana says, it's going to be really rare to find an acharya in the West. Very, very rare. And if you start analyzing their lives, Prabhupada was born in a Vaishnava family. All the other acharyas were born extraordinary lives, and they are from generations of devotees and like that. So it's an acharya. I don't think they had to be Mahabhavats. And if they are given, they can be instructing gurus. So that instructing guru should be by the disciples, should be, of course, always respected and worshipped. So your question is a little loaded. Well, unless they're Mahabhavats, they cannot be worshipped. And Mahabhavats, well, we know the side effect of that they don't accept worship for themselves. They give it to their spiritual, in line all the way, the connecting line to Krishna. So
something,
for
please.
you might have doubts about who is not, someone is not a Mahabhavat, so they shouldn't be worshipped. But they might be Madhyam. And Mahabhavats are very difficult to understand and know. Today I was listening to Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he says nobody can understand somebody if somebody's in Prem, has attained now Prem. And those are the super excellent personalities to take
Rasangi has
shelter
a
of.
comment to make. Rasangi, you
Yeah,
want to
sorry.
I'm just thinking that, the disciples offering homage to their Gurudev is a wonderful thing, and it thickens their relationship. And it shouldn't be deprived. They shouldn't be deprived of.
Thank you. I don't think
Mute,
we'll be able to
and
pick
mute.
it up till
You have to
tomorrow.
mute their Hari because their conversation is taking.
Sorry.
There you go.
I think they mustn't be deprived of offering their everything to their Gurudev. And, hopefully the gurus can digest it and be able to offer it to Prabhupada and our Guru Varga and not take it personally and let it become like an issue of becoming puffed up and prideful. That's a big thing. But I think, like Prabhupada in Japan, he instructed his disciples there to write something about him and come, because they didn't know what it meant.
They did it wrong, and he taught them to do it right. Remember that? Yeah.
He said, write something and we'll
Give
come
him a
back
second.
tomorrow. Huh?
Yes,
Right.
he gave him a second chance. That's the fact.
So, I mean, that's our line as far as I can see. And I've been to like Vaishya Shekhar's, his birthday. And I don't know if you're talking about celebrating their birthday or the special Vyasa Puja once a year.
Yeah, they're Vyasa Pujas.
Lochanananda Prabhu made the point to me today that in the time of Prabhupada, we only honored birthdays of up to 5 years of age. A child is up to 5 years, and we had birthday parties for children 5 years of age. Avadut Maharaj said to me that one who accepts Vyasa Puja should have realized his Swarup. Recently, we saw a big Vyasa Puja by one of our godbrothers on Facebook, where he had a gigantic Vyasasan with Prabhupada shoved off to the side on a baby Vyasasan. And it was really
Yeah,
embarrassing.
so that,
I reported this to a GBC, and he said, "Oh my God, his disciples think that he's greater than Srila Prabhupada." And he contacted ISKCON Resolve, and ISKCON Resolve said, "We got enough headaches already to deal with than to deal with this." So I mean, I get your point with Sangi Prabhu. It's a nice point. Yes, we should encourage the disciples, but when the disciples go way over into the deep end, and Guru Maharaj is saying, "Yes, go on with the worship me more than Prabhupada, minimize Prabhupada," I think we got a problem there. And then another point that was made to me is Prabhupada never told us that we're supposed to be worshipped. Prabhupada said that we're meant to be officiating what is it? Officiating acharyas, that the worship should be given
That's
to
what it
Prabhupada.
said in Pita's thing. That's what Pita was saying.
Right.
Prabhupada was saying that new gurus would be Ritviks, but not that they wouldn't have their own disciples. They would, but that's how and if someone becomes an acharya, they're self-effulgent. Srila Prabhupada also said that. He said that the acharya, the pure
they're not by
devotee,
appointment.
then
They're not voted.
they don't get voted in or decide.
Right.
They are self-effulgent.
I
And
just-
so if someone has disciples, of course they need to do Guru Vyasa Puja offerings on their appearance day because they have disciples. They have to accept it, but they have to make sure that they're accepting the worship for their spiritual master. Even Srila Prabhupada said that.
Should their feet be
us.
washed in the temple room in front of Prabhupada's murti?
If they are authentic, of course. Not
Well,
in front
what's
of
your
Prabhupada.
barometer? What's
but
your barometer for
and-
authenticity?
They had
I
to
don't
present
think-
symptoms. If they still had the 6 enemies around their neck, the 6 enemies: lust, greed, anger,
Yes.
all except if
I
those
just
are
don't
present.
think-
That's why
Tom Crowd,
Sridandi was saying,
Mada.
realize your Mada, envy,
Matsarya.
illusion, and
Lobe.
we can become illusion. So actually, your question is, should we worship a phony guy? No, of course not. And if he's authentic and he's doing everything according to his Gurudev, he's a Madhyamadikari, he's not falling down. Well, this, to worship Mahabhagavad is like Sridhanta is always say, oh, he has realized his own
Swarup.
form. He's attained his Swarup. He has developed now his spiritual body.
So
So
I think it just can become a way of finding fault. And I think it's not necessary to
yeah,
focus on them, Gora Prabhu. I think we have our own life, our own devotional life and service to focus on. Are you that worried about ISKCON?
Your answer, Rasangi Prabhu, would be the standard, how can I say, objection. Whoa, who are you to minimize glorifying our gurus in ISKCON? The other extreme of that is having gigantic Vyasasans 3 times as big as Prabhupada's, while Prabhupada's little Vyasasan is shoved off to the side. I'm questioning.
That's definitely an aparad on the part
Thank
of the
you.
person allowing that
Thank
to
you.
happen.
And it's only
But we don't need the GBC to make a policy that the gurus can't have Vyasa Puja, but then they don't need to make a policy if someone's doing something so blatantly offensive, then they need to be checked.
Right.
But
the other thing is this. I think the whole ISKCON, the structure the way it is now is not. I don't think it's any close to what Srila Prabhupada wanted. And I remember, and I had to find this. It's in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Prabhupada said, I want my disciples, when they're grown, mature enough, open your thing. Radharani has a temple of her own. I applaud that. Instead of trying to do, what happened, it got really uncomfortable. Now all of a sudden my god brothers thought, well, we are spiritual masters, so you obey me.
But they take
and
Prabhupada's temples.
they took over Prabhupada's temples.
Yeah.
With God brothers and God sisters, and some of them were even more advanced than themselves.
Yeah.
You know, they were good administrators, but they weren't. So, and the other thing is this: it's okay, because in every line of the pure devotees that there, you know, there were Prabhupada said, like Sridhar Maharaj was his Shiksha Gurudev. He referred to Bhakti Pragyan Keshava as such.
But he's
Each
also
of them
a sannyas guru.
is the sannyas guru. Each of them had their followers, their sangha, their disciples, and for those disciples, it's okay to say he is the best among
The
all
10th generation.
the 10th generation of since Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is okay. That's for the disciple to see his spiritual master that way. But in times of Lord Chaitanya, in times of six Goswami, there's so many great Bhagavats. Even Kaviraj Goswami says, it'll be an injustice. It will be not correct for me to say one is better than the other.
Oh.
You know, all the associates, there are like so many of Lord Chaitanya. It would be incorrect to say, oh, one is better than the other. You see what I mean? I don't know if I made the point clear.
Yeah, I mean, Sri
all
Dandi Maharaj
this,
is
I
saying
think
to me,
I-
when you consider the lives of Ramananda Roy and Sarup Damodar and, you know, people of that caliber, he was just kind of saying it's kind of a laughing stock for someone to sit there and hear their glories. And I'm like, wow, you know, I've never really thought about these things very deeply. I mean, it's not like I've attended, but I get Rasangi Prabhu's point. I think for me, the best thing is to not pay attention to these things, because I find it often it's
Yeah, you can't let
absolutely.
them, interrupt your own param gatim, as it were. You have to, sort of, as my father would say, keep your hair on, keep your hair on. Because there will be errors, and there will be discrepancies, but one can have a voice, but to allow yourself to be completely disrupted, as it were, in one's bhajan, in your own devotional service, then you yourself are kind of missing the point.
I get it. That's why I don't watch ISKCON news anymore, because I don't want to hear gurus telling me I'm supposed to be taking an mRNA injection. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff in all ISKCON, but at the same time, when someone comes up and they're telling me some kind of nonsense, I don't want to make any aparad towards them. I get Rasangi's point.
Yeah, the problem is that the administrator, what happens to many of the true religions. Look at Christianity, when it amalgamated itself to government, when the emperors figured out, oh, this is great, we got a perfect philosophy, you get everybody scared, they're going to go to hell forever, or oh no, you're an apparati, so now you're done. It's not like that. And so so then they started, Catholic churches form, and then now it descended down as a thing that the next pure devotee is voted, because he's supposed to be a pure devotee, a pure representative of Christ, who is, being transparent via media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're supposed to. So now we have them, which are government, because the Pope is a government. Vatican is a nation. You got them doing policy of, right? The
Nandapatni, what did you say, Nandapatni?
You get the Illuminati.
Oh.
You ended up with the Illuminatis.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it's just like, I'm not going to waste my time, Chris. I saw that already. So I had to do my choice. In the 70s, when I saw these people coming into the temple and see their Vyasasan higher, bigger than Prabhupada's, I just couldn't stay there anymore.
I'm out of here.
I stayed around, I lived a few blocks, I chanted my whatever, I try to, because what's most important is not the association of the society, or if the society is going to put the seal of approving something, or voting something. When they started to vote on Siddhanta, that was it too. That's what's causing the trouble now. Once you start like, a governing body that's higher than a pure devotee, it's like Prabhupada asked his god-brother, the senior one, the one with the institution, apparently, Tirtha Maharaj.
Of course.
You sent me that letter, Gaura, remember?
Yeah.
When Prabhupada is asking for sannyas,
Yes.
and how they want to put him under his...
They wouldn't give Prabhupada sannyas, right?
No.
We'll see about that.
First prove yourself, quote, first prove yourself as a man of the society. Wow.
To keep
That was
your
so
eye
revealing.
on the prize. Yeah, that's my phrase. Keep your eye on the prize.
Yes.
Don't get
And so what are we, right.
Can
And what are we searching for is the associations. Sadhusanga, sadhusanga, sadhusanga. It might be at one time coinciding with that society formed by the pure devotee, but as we see it in the passage of time, things get degraded.
It doesn't mean that there's no pure devotees in ISKCON.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean that ISKCON's throw it out, that saying, throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Right.
Right.
I'm looking for
totally up.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm looking for that. I'm looking for the guru in ISKCON who, on his birthday, when they start glorifying him, he walks out of the room. Then I know he's the real deal. In my humble, not so humble opinion.
Don't bother with that. Don't bother with that. Just go for your own sadhu sangha.
I've never seen that before. I think that's like so cool. That's so amazing. Wow.
Well, Srila Narayan Maharaj, he didn't walk out of the room one time. It was his appearance day and we called it Vyasa Puja. So he had us get all kinds of paraphernalia together and he did Vyasa Puja offering. And we all participated.
He was trying to show us how to do it. Too.
And worshiping Vyasa Dev.
What?
No, we were worshiping Vyasa Dev. He said, you want a Vyasa Puja ceremony. So we all did worship.
It's five.
And the five gurus.
You could get very tangled, but it's five. It's the Panchakas. It's called 5 groups of 5. So
he did
the incarnations of Godhead are worship, and then down to the great Mahabhagavats and like that. So there's 5 groups of 5 each. They're supposed to be worshipped.
I understand, but he didn't sit there through a whole evening of people glorifying him, right?
But he did another time.
Well,
every single person he actually tolerated it. He let every single person at the festival offer him a flower and some words personally.
But I remember his face feeling really
embarrassed.
He was embarrassed. And so I remember now what Chutananda Prabhu was telling us. Remember how when Prabhupada took him to the Vyasa Puja or the ceremony of appearance day of Sridhar Maharaj.
That's what I was trying to remember.
And Chutananda was saying, I never seen a devotee so uncomfortable. He even said, well, okay, if you all insist, I'll take the honor in behalf of the one that cannot be here because it's otherwise engaged in a different dimension. Remember?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but I wanted to, I've been wanting to tell you something I heard Ashram Maharaj, disciple of Gaur Govinda.
I know him.
I know you're going to ask me which book it's from, but he told a story. I don't remember which book it's from, but he said, anyway, he told a story of how Radharani left the Rasa dance and Krishna went searching for her and he couldn't find her and he was so distressed. And a Saki came up and said, well, the only way you can get Radharani to come is if you chant her mantra, her special mantra to Radharani. So she taught him the mantra and Radharani didn't come. So she said, you're not concentrating. So she gave him all these instructions and had him try it all these different ways. And Radharani never appeared. And finally she says, well, then you should try the Maha Mantra. So he said Hare Krishna mantra one time, and immediately Radharani appeared.
Nice. So what's
So
your
I
point
thought
on that? What's your point on that in the
that
context of
everything, that Maha Mantra is the most, everything's in the Maha Mantra. It's the most Rashik, nectarian. And when Krishna chanted the Maha Mantra, Radharani couldn't stay away. I just had never heard
Meeting and separation.
I'd never
Ra-
heard such glorification of the holy name before.
no, that's wonderful. I'm just wondering, in connection with what we're discussing right now, I'm a little dull.
You
No
know the meaning is
connection. I
fast
just
for everything.
no, it was just I wanted to tell
It is
today
Prabhu.
because I heard it yesterday.
The thing is that as we notice, we're
Baba
getting
Trini
old.
song.
Yes.
It's the conclusion to everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes what happens is sometimes we read something, and I notice as I now it's a lot harder to retain it, and sometimes we lose track, and so we want to say everything at once, no matter what, and repeat it
Before we forget.
But yeah, Jadrani said that she learned, I think it's maybe even Prabhupada, how to really learn something, study it and then repeat it
To three people.
to three people. So
Yeah,
three times you
okay.
have to,
Yeah.
and then we'll sink in, and deeper.
Our godbrother Purnachandra, he took sannyas before we left. Purnachandra Maharaj. I was studying Bhakti Shastri with him in Mayapur in 2007. And I said to him, back since the 70s, I read this letter where Prabhupada said, I want all of my disciples to at least have Bhakti Shastri. Otherwise, they will not be considered a high-class Brahmin. What to speak of Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti Sarvabhauma degrees, Bhakti Vedanta degrees. I said, I'm so embarrassed after 30-something years. I still didn't get I eventually did get the Bhakti Shastri 85 with honors. But
Yay!
anyway, I was expressing this to him, and he said, what's the best way to learn Bhakti Shastri? I said, what? He said, teach it. The best way to learn something is by teaching it. And I said, how many times did you teach Bhakti Shastri? He said, well, I used to live at Bhaktivedanta Manor, and then I lived in Vrindavan for some time. He said, I taught the course over 100 times. And I'm like, wow.
Wow.
So I was trying to get my teacher's degree. I took almost 3 levels of teacher's training so that I could also teach Bhakti Shastri. But I had promised Brahma Muhurta that I would do an audio book, and he had me do the Science of Self-Realization. So I moved into Bhakti Shri Swami's recording studio in Calcutta for a week, and every day I read Science of Self-Realization. But at one point, when there was an Irishman named Mr. O'Grady, I spoke a little bit I tried to speak like an Irishman, and they completely deleted. Well, they didn't delete, but they never released my recording because they said I got a little too emotional. So I missed my teacher's training degree by 3 days because I had promised Brahma Muhurta to make this recording for him. They never used my recording. I never got my teacher's training degree. So it reminded me of the story of the Brahmin who gets invited to the Muslim's house to eat a dinner, but the Muslim doesn't have much food to feed the Brahmin. So the Brahmin still remains hungry, and he loses his caste at the same time because he eats at a Muslim's house. So anyway, that's the story of my time at Brahma at Bhakti Shastra training. Anyway, it's after 10 o'clock here. I don't want to keep everyone any longer.
Okay. I just my opinion is zero, and that doesn't matter really. There are all these questions. I think many of this, like for example, who should we get initiation from? It's all in the nectar of instruction. Then Hari Bhakti Vilas, how to be a good disciple and how to find the spiritual master. All those things are given. They're very practical guides that Lord Chaitanya wanted Sanatana Goswami to write on that. It's kind of important. And Kushakrata, I think, in ISKCON translated Hari Bhakti Vilas, I believe. Nitai was, when I was there as a pujari and of Krishna Balaram, Nitai took over as at one point he took over and then he left. but he was translating Hari Bhakti Vilas, so we were studying it and had to do a lot of practical things for deity worship and like that. But yeah, Jaiva Dharma will have a lot of our questions, a lot of things that cause, argument and ISKCON like that. Anyhow, Prabhu, I think it's very, very late for you.
Yeah, thank you very much for all of your points, including you, Sangi. Thank you also for your contribution.
Sangeeti.
Jai.
And my
Thank you, Gaura Prabhu.
everyone. I hope I didn't make any offenses. I hope I didn't make any offenses by the questions that I asked. I was told that a question is never an offense.
Well, whereas you have to, just dip, your finger in your heart and see, what is the goal? What do you want to do it for? What is the purpose of the question?
Because I just sort of like, we have a saying, we go along to get along. You want to remain in ISKCON? You don't ask too many questions. Otherwise, you may not be so welcome anymore. Right? You know what I'm saying?
I can see in the future the ISKCON church, it's a mystery. You have to believe in it. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, accept my obeisances, everyone. Vanchakalpa, previous chat. Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Damodara Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo.
All glories to assembled devotees.
See you on Friday, Krishna willing. And wait a minute, is there any new word on Jagadatri? How her and Raghunath are doing?
Yes.
Raghunath is out of the hospital and he went swimming yesterday.
Oh, good. Okay.
In the ocean.
And
took bath in the ocean.
He said something about because he didn't have the bags.
What did he say?
That it wasn't as bad.
Oh, I didn't read that or hear that. You heard him talking. No, you heard him talking.
Okay.
I didn't. He sent a video on Facebook to everyone. And I played it. And he said he didn't get as sick because he didn't have the vax.
And Jagadatri, any improvement on her?
She's out of ice. She was in ICU and they thought they were going to have to put an oxygen tube in, but they didn't. They just put a mask on her.
Okay.
And now she's back. She's being watched. She's in a unit where they keep close eye on you.
Basu Ghosh also.
She does have.
Yes, sorry.
Oh.
No, that she has, her, physical problems.
She's already in
right
hospice.
Now.
Yeah. She's not expected.
She was receiving oxygen already.
Yeah, she was already on oxygen. But I haven't been able to talk to her or the nurse. I called 2 times a day, but they did tell me that she's they're watching her, but she's not as serious.
Have you posted this in our disciples group at all? Does anyone know this?
I don't know.
Well, if you haven't posted it, then I'll have to go check.
I didn't post it. You should probably post it, or I'll post it.
I'll check. See, Raghu is writing.
I just thought Raghu might have posted it. I was just kind of.
You'd have to
in
check.
The middle of it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And
someone else mentioned her in a post, and I put in a comment that she had COVID and was in the ICU.
Okay.
And then but I didn't make a post about it.
Okay, then I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows. I have no idea. All right.
Okay, well,
thank you very much.
Okay.
See you Friday.
Hare Krishna.
Good night.
See you
Hare
Friday.
Krishna.
Good night.
Hare Bol,
Hare
Krishna.